And if you're looking for certainty, you know, we told you guys a long time ago that you wake up, you look at the clock right away when you know you don't have anywhere to go. Looking for certainty. Yeah, that's like a duality thing. That's way down there. Now, obviously, if you need to get up and get ready, you need to know what time it is. That's part of a trajectory. But if you're just doing it because of habit and certainty,
It's hard.
the not looking at the time.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
do that all the time.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's so reasonable. You keep your alarm clock by your bed. So many people have jobs where you got to get up and get going. The kids got to get to school, right? You've got every reason to train yourself to want to know what time it is. However, when you don't actually need to know what time it is, it's a really weird habit. Because who's in charge? Because the clock's going to tell you something about yourself. It's programmed to. Not saying it's good or bad, but you guys even got this 11:11 thing. When the clock says 11:11, it means something special. The clock has a lot of power. So if the clock's going to have that much power over you, don't look at it very often until you have to, because it's got too much power. If it's got the power to change how you feel, that's some creepy power shit there.
Yeah, it feels almost like clocks have to go, except for maybe the clock on the phone. Because wow, you know, I mean, I can wake up and I consciously know I want to look at the clock, and I consciously choose not to. And then till I go out to the kitchen, and then there's 2 clocks in there. You know, you see the clock. It's really
Well, there's an experiment for you then. Cover them up. Cover them up for a day.
Yeah.
You know, you've got it on your phone. Set an alarm for getting ready to see any client, so you don't have to worry about, oh wait, if it's 10, I need to know if it's 10, because at 10 I got to get in the shower, right? Whatever you've got on your calendar, that's legitimate, right? Because everyone else is interacting with time. This is a way that you have common ground with people. Anyway, match energy. Ooh. Right? So, and we told you guys you were going to have power over time. This is a doorway, maybe. For you, it sounds like. So, cover up all those clocks. Use your phone as an alarm to when you need to re-engage with society's use of time.
I do that anyway. But it's just the waking up and going to bed. It's very habitual.
Well,
Even though, I mean, I play the trick on myself of not looking, and then, you know,
3 days.
Eventually you look.
Today's Wednesday.
Covering it up. That's a good idea.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Just do 3 days and let us know how it goes. 3 days of covering up all your clocks, using your phone as an alarm to alert you when you have to re-engage. Go to bed and wake up. Go to sleep and wake up when you want. 3 days.
Yeah, I always do that anyway. I go to bed and wake up.
Okay, but you just said the going to bed and waking up is habitual, so it can't be both ways.
No. It's not habitual. It's habitual to look at
To
the clock.
look. Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's easy then. Cover the clocks. 3 days. Let us know what it feels like.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's
Because, you know, what trigger is also, could be said, you know, where am I matching energy? Right? Because to be triggered by something, you have to, can we say match energy with it? Maybe. It has to, like the blonde hair, black hair thing, it has to ring true to you in order to trigger you. Maybe that's true. We're trying to hurry because we're running out of time.
Yeah,
We're
I think it's
floating this.
it's a certainty thing.
Okay.
Just looking at it for certainty.
Okay. Nobody ever said that the fallacy of certainty was going to be easy to dump, but it certainly isn't in level 6. What trigger? What certainty? All right, same thing. Same, like, where am I matching energy? That's all level 6 stuff.
Yeah.
What trigger? What certainty? Where am I matching energy?
Okay.
3 days.
Okay.
You've got homework. You've got homework. But no, we have time to talk about time, and then we're not going to talk about time because we're going to take time off.
Well, I was telling Veronica, it's been interesting because I don't consider myself to be a clock watcher, but I put a piece of paper over all the clocks in my house except for my bedroom one. And I have a habit of looking at the clock way more than I thought that I did. So that's about the only thing that I've noticed to this point. It's really hard to eliminate time because you get clues about what time it is from, like my lamp. I have it programmed to go off at 10 o'clock at night, or come on at 6:30 or something, go off at 10. So I know I have some feedback. It would be interesting if I took that away also. But yeah, it's almost hard to imagine life without time, without a clock.
So it's totally okay to be getting the feedback from the lamp going on and off, but see if you can disassociate it. So the light comes on, the sun comes up. Sun comes up a different time every single day. So the light going on, you know it's the same time every day, but it doesn't have to mean time. See if you can break that equal sign. See if it can just be...
I could set it to be random.
Oh,
so
that'd
I wouldn't
be better
know what
if you
time
could.
it was.
Yeah. We're disassociating equal signs. We're breaking a deep habit, and we're giving you the opportunity to reclaim your internal clock from the world. Because the trouble is, if you sit there and watch the clock, you're going to say 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. But if you're in the moment, that duration could feel very different. And our premise is that it is very different, but the clock forces you to see it as the same. So the less you're addicted to knowing what time it is, and it is an addiction, the more easily you will have control over your relationship to time, meaning your more control over your experience of time. Because remember, a long time ago, Fred promised you guys you'd be able to control time. Well, one of the ways you control time is to stop letting it control you. And that's what you're practicing with covering up the clocks.
Yeah.
So we're glad you're doing it. We're really happy you actually did it, and keep doing it if you can, to see what else it teaches you.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, really. It was, like I said, the only thing that was shocking was I became completely aware of how often I looked at it because I was telling Veronica, if I looked at it and it was a clock, I wouldn't think anything of it. I would look at the time and poof, it's gone. But because I look at it and it's a piece of paper, I go, oh, shit, I just looked at the clock again.
Yeah.
Yeah, way more than I thought I did.
Yeah. And how is it going with like still getting to your appointments on time and stuff? Are you using your phone to remind you that it's time to get ready for an appointment, or how are you handling that part?
Well, I'm trying to, because I've covered up the clock in my bathroom, to be a little more flexible with being on time. Like I was late to Veronica's. Yeah, not so tied to, because I like to be on time for my appointments because I don't like to wait for people, So, but, I can see that you don't want to be completely bound to time. Ish.
You
Ish
don't
is
want,
good.
again, we're breaking the control that the current, trying to get the right word, hang on, the current constraints around time represent. Now, showing up on time to an appointment is respectful. So that's a constraint of respect, not a constraint of time. Because if it was a constraint of time, then it would be only respectful if you showed up at 4 o'clock appointments on time, right? It's a constraint of respect. And some people are like, get here when you can. And that's respectful because they feel flexibility is respectful. Some people are like, if you're not here right at the second the clock starts chiming, you're not being respectful. So it's relationally defined. You understand?
Yeah.
Veronica wasn't mad because you were late, because your relationship isn't defined on coming on the dot. Randy used to pick up Veronica, and she would knock on the door as the clock was turning from 4:59 to 5 o'clock. Week after week, Veronica was like, are you out there looking at the clock, waiting for it to switch? How do you do that? And then eventually she started coming, 4:55, 5:05, 5:07. And it was an indicator of a shift for her. That she didn't feel like I'm only good if I'm there at 5 on the dot. It was funny. Veronica would be giggling. Not back. She would just giggle about it every week. You know, that was back when we had meetings all the time. So she got to practice all the time. So there's respect, and we understand that, right? Promptness indicates a respect, indicates a professionalism. That's not what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What we're talking about is control.
Yeah.
Remember, duality is controlling this environment, primarily because of dead alive, right? Duality-based environment. Duality has extended to the clock, right? Somebody said, let's divide up the day into this number of minutes and hours and seconds, and that's going to tell us where we should be and when we should be there. And in essence, who we are as well. Oh my God, I'm a person who's late. I'm a person who's on time. I'm a flake. I'm not a flake. You know, all those sorts of things.
I get up early. I get up late.
I get up late. Good one. Mm-hmm. What we're doing is we reclaim some of that power that's been given to the clock. You're also loosening the grasp. That's the right word. The grasp of duality.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Yeah. So this is just the first salvo in loosening the grasp of duality, is to say, I don't need to know what time it is, therefore I'm not going to let myself follow my addiction to know. Because it's also a certainty thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's a it's
Certainty
mostly
thing.
a certainty.
It's mostly certainty.
It's mostly an expression of certainty based in duality.
Mm-hmm. It's funny how much you crave it. I was just looking, I got in the habit of looking at the Weather Channel, and I just thought, oh, God, I want certainty about what the weather's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird where some certainties show up. And that actually would be a fun thing for the community to share with each other, is their goofy certainties. Where are you looking for certainties? And that one, the Weather Channel, is a good one. We're trying to remember. Veronica had one the other day, and we can't remember what it was, but it was a good one.
In a way, people watching the news, reading the newspaper and stuff, is looking for certainty in a funny kind of a backwards way.
Well, you know, part of looking at the news is to make sure that the saber-toothed tiger's not running through your yard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, good, the saber-toothed tiger's down there. That means he's not in my yard. That means I'm safe. That's part of the news. It's like beep, 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 beep. What's going on around? You know, keeping your antenna out there. God, we wish we could think of the funny certainty that Veronica came up with the other day. It made her laugh. She was like, wow, where did that come from?
That she does herself, or that she
She
heard?
did one. Yeah, she did.
Oh.
She had a funny certainty. Well, anyway, as a community, you guys have got your Facebook thing. So as a community, it'd be really fun for you to start sharing the funny places so that you can, you know, have a little giggle about it. Mary started it off with her Weather Channel one. So, you know, see if you guys can contribute the places where you find yourself going, oh my God, the only reason I was doing that is because I was looking for certainty.